There we go. Thank you. Welcome to this press conference, this global press conference for Marvel's Thor: The Dark World. Please welcome the producer of Thor: The Dark World, Mr. Kevin Feige. Stars of Thor: The Dark World, Mr. Edison. Captain Morgan. Chris Henson. Tom Hiddleston. Jack Ennis. And director Alan Taylor. So we can begin. I'm going to start with a hard-hitting question for everybody, starting with you, Kevin, working your way down the line. Okay. Put you on the spot. Are you Team Thor or Team Loki?
Oh boy. Who am I sitting closest to? I'm Team Malachi.
Good. Hey. Team Johnny.
Team Thor or Team Loki?
Oh, definitely Team Malachi.
That's a super Team Malachi.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going down there.
Are there now?
Oh, what kind of woman would I be if I didn't say Team Thor?
That's right.
Suck up. Chris?
Team Loki.
Tom?
Team Thor.
Anyone keeping score here, by the way?
I'm losing. I'm destined to lose. That's Loki's fate. I think he's always going to lose.
Oh, I'll go with Team Loki.
Yay!
Super Team Loki. And Alan, I think you got the
That's
It's like Sophie's choice, right? I can't pick one brother over the other, so I will say Team Cat.
Oh,
Good.
that's nice.
Diplomatic.
Big Team Malachi. Okay, I'll go ahead to you guys, because we've only got half an hour. So here's this lady here, right here in the front row, and then another lady here. Just reserve your microphones.
Good morning all. Question for Chris and Tom, if I may. The subject of trust is prevalent within the film, and I wondered, having worked together now on a number of films, whether you're free to experiment because there is a trust between you as actors.
Sure. I mean, there's certainly a shorthand we have from, having this been the third film we've shot together now, and you don't spend a chunk of your shooting time getting to know one another. You know, we are able to pick up where we left off and have developed a great friendship along the way. And I don't know, from the beginning we were lucky. We just had a chemistry in the same kind of enthusiasm, and just the relationship I look forward to, really delving into every time is being able to ask the questions that Thor and Loki haven't really had the acute focus to do so yet. And this instance was that was the great opportunity we had.
I love you, man.
I love you.
It's absolutely true. Right? It's from the beginning of Kenneth Branagh's Thor all the way through Joss Whedon's Avengers and into Alan's Dark World. It has been an amazing adventure for both of us, and the two characters define each other and need each other, and all acting is about what happens in the space between people, and the more you trust each other, the deeper you can go. And when I'm on set with Chris, whatever he serves, I'll return, and he'll return it back, and that is the joy of it for me.
Thank you. There's a lady here.
Another thing this is sibling rivalry. Now, because you've got two brothers, and I just wondered whether you drew on your relationship with them to inform your interactions with Loki, and also as they're both actors, do you find that there's a lot of competition between the Hemsworth brothers?
Neither of them have attempted to take over the universe just yet, but I think I'd have the same reaction if they did. We're competitive as siblings are in kind of everything from sport and backyard cricket, football, surfing, to who's controlling the remote control, watching TV. This industry, not so much. I think we, or certainly all three of us, understand the sort of frailty and inconsistency of the work, and we help each other with auditions and always have, and whatever scripts we're working on, and you're not in direct competition anyway, and it's more of a kind of team effort with this than anything else.
And what about you using the relationship as part of your work?
So yeah, sure. Oh, look, one of the scenes where they're, in the spaceship sort of exiting Asgard, that Tom and I were pretty insistent on saying, no, this has got to feel like you know, when you're in the back seat with your siblings, and you know, we couldn't get 100 meters down the road before, you know, the three of us would be like, get off me, don't touch me, you know, go this way, do this, and that kind of, you know, certainly played into that scene. And a lot of the stuff, you understand what it's like to have that kind of love-hate sort of thing, and you do anything for them, but at the same time, the simplest things can annoy you. And yeah, I certainly, you know, try and draw from whatever experiences I've been through, or can empathise with frustration towards one's sibling.
Was that question also for Tom, by the way?
It was?
Yeah.
Well, I have two sisters, and so it's a slightly different, I suppose, a different dynamic.
They have long hair though, like Thor.
They do. Long blonde hair, both of them. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the thing about siblings is they know you. They know you better than anyone, and there's that thing of always being bound together by your history is something. There's something very honest about the interaction that you can't lie in front of your siblings. And I love in this film, I love that Thor is able to demand from Loki that he play his hand. You know, Loki is someone who's constantly in control. He'll never show you how he really feels, and the only person who gets close to it is Thor, and that seems very true of sibling relationships. I absolutely second the spaceship scene. I've actually been on a road trip with Chris and Liam at one, and it's very similar.
Rather
to
similar.
that.
You're the worst driver. What do you know?
It was very fun.
Go that
Yeah.
way. It's quicker. No, it's not.
And then if you spend time with Luke, he just you know, knocks both their heads together and says, "Shut up, boys."
Yeah, he's the older brother, runs the show. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question here in the front row from, well, Thor, I think.
Hey. Cool outfit, man.
Thor, are you actually brothers with Loki?
No, well,
I wish we
tough
were.
question. In the film, we do actually have different parents, and Loki was adopted into the Asgardian family. But we love one another like brothers. Yeah.
We're going to break the tyranny at the front row and go all the way to the back. This gentleman here with the camera with his hand up. Thank you. Thanks.
I think you have to be wearing a costume now to ask the question.
Possibly top mini Thor, I'm sorry. Guys, my question first of all to Natalie. Obviously in the first film, Jane was very much a spectator, whereas this time she's right in the middle of Thor's world. I wonder if that was part of what excited you about the prospect of coming back. I guess for Chris and Tom, how nice was it for you to this time have a very beautiful third wheel to your dynamic?
Absolutely.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you. Yeah, it was exciting to get to come back and work with everyone and meet people who were joining this time, and also because Jane gets to go to Asgard this time, I was lucky enough to get to work more with Tom and to have scenes with Renee and Anthony too, who were amazing, and I just got to admire from afar. And then also just continue the fun rapport with Kat and Stella and Chris, and it was definitely a lot of laughing, maybe too much laughing on set.
Be interesting DVD extras on this one.
Yeah.
But yes, it was brilliant to have Natalie there and to break up some of the godly testosterone of Thor and Loki kind of doing their thing with beautiful Jane. So yeah.
Yeah, I loved working with Natalie. In the first film, Loki's aware of Jane Foster's presence and refers to her, but it was so fun to see what happens when the two share the same space. Violence, as you see. Just, you know, that's the first move. Can I just say I love your t-shirt? Thanks, man.
There's a gentleman in the third row with a white t-shirt and glasses.
Hi, I've got a question for both Natalie and Chris. Chris, you recently called Britain the new Hollywood as a place to film. And I just want to ask you two, I mean, what's it like compared to filming in Hollywood? How different is it filming in the UK?
The interesting thing about Hollywood is, I mean, I don't know that a lot of stuff gets shot there anymore. Obviously, once upon a time it did. But it's predominantly kind of sets and studios. The nice thing about here is there's incredible studios, but there's brilliant locations to take advantage of. And I love the aesthetic this film has because, not only Asgard, but we get to see London. And most of these films are set with sort of New York or an American city as the backdrop. And I love that difference. And yeah, do love shooting here.
Yeah, I would echo Chris in that it's hard to compare because we don't really shoot in Hollywood at all. So I love working here though, and I'm envious of British actors and British crews because American and I guess Australian actors too, we end up like gypsies,
Yeah.
movie to movie or moving cities all the time, and you can really have such a fulfilling, wonderful, rich career doing between the theater, the TV here, and the film all in London. It's pretty cool to get to live and work in the same place.
Yeah.
I just want to bring Kevin on that actually, because Marvel have used London a lot, are going to use London a lot in the future. What's it about London that's so great for your studio?
Well, it's no secret that there's a very big tax incentive which lures the studios here. I don't want to pretend that's not the case, but what keeps us here, what keeps us coming back, are the amazing crews, which is unbelievable. We're starting our 4th film next year at Shepperton, and it's been an amazing experience, all 4 of them.
And the third run, let's say, would be the lady beside John with the glasses.
It's a message, for Tom. If Comic-Con's anything to go by, people really love Loki. What do you think it is about Loki that people seem to really love kind of more over Thor?
Wow. Lovely. Where's the guy in the costume?
Yeah,
Can I tell you what I love about Loki? Because we've been talking about this all morning, and it's very hard to. You have a go as well, but I don't know that it was ever the plan to have Loki in this many films, but purely to do with everything that Tom brought to the table in the first one, and how incredible he was, and the mixture of strength and villainous and mischief and vulnerability. Which is such an access point. You can immediately kind of empathize with this misunderstood guy. Is why he kept, am I correct, Kevin? Why he kept bringing him back into every film. Like, I don't know that was ever the plan, but I mean, my hat goes off to Tom, and I think he's done such an incredible job in every film, and hopefully we can keep sneaking him in more somewhere.
I love you, man. I wanted to say in response to the second part, I think Loki is defined by Thor. He's defined in opposition to him. That they are yin and yang. They are the sort of the sun and the moon. That the whole point of them is that they are in opposition, and the whole sort of the popularity of the character has been such an amazing surprise. I'd never expected it in my wildest dreams. I don't know, I found him a fascinating prospect because he's a mixture of playfulness and charm and mischief. That's his moniker, he's the god of mischief, so there's a playfulness to him. But he's such a broken character. He's grief-stricken and bitter and jealous and angry and lonely and proud. And so the cocktail of all of his kind of psychological damage and his playfulness, as an actor, is just a really interesting thing to inhabit. And by the way, you are the only Thor.
No, that guy.
That guy over there.
Oh, yeah.
Another. Someone's phone.
Go bye-bye.
Free phones up here. Sorry.
There's a chap here in the front row with the white shirt.
Hi guys, I'm Alexander. I'm being from Sweden. I love all the scenes with Stellan Skarsgård.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also feel this movie has much more humor than any other Marvel film I've ever seen. So, can you comment on that, maybe Alan and Kevin?
Yeah, I'm so that's what's coming back to the audience as they sort of see the film for the first time. I think I went into it, I thought my first task was to darken the world and deepen it and dirty it up a little bit. I sort of felt like that was my mandate going in. And then as we started the process, I realized, oops, if we're going to darken it, if we're going to deepen it, if we're going to possibly kill off some characters that we love, we better make darn sure that it's balanced on the other side, because the key to the Marvel universe and the Marvel language that I was being assaulted by a lot of negatives in the movie, because Avengers came out while we were starting it, and Iron Man 3 came out while we were finishing it, with you are screwed if you don't also keep it funny and light on its feet at the same time. So it's called The Dark World, and there's certainly dark currents in it, but yeah, the humor was critical, and I can't say enough great things about Selwyn. He was the first thing we shot. I think we started with him in Stonehenge running around with a phone on. And he's probably one of the few men I know who walks into it didn't even bat an eye. It's hilarious and always truthful in his performance.
Yeah.
And speaking of comedy, I'm bringing out a cat in this one. Delighted to see that Darcy still can't pronounce me all new, which is great. Is there a lot of improvisation on the set of a movie like this?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. There was a little bit of improv in my first day back, and I'm on the show in the States, which allows no improv whatsoever. And so when you guys told me I could do that, I didn't know what to do. I was very jet lagged, so I think banana balls came out of my exhaustion. But yeah, I was very happy to be back. You guys gave Darcy some awesome things to say and do.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the front row with that.
Hi guys, first off, congratulations on the film, I really enjoyed it. I've got a couple of questions. Firstly, for Chris. We've seen a lot of great development from Thor from the first film through to Avengers, now this. How do you feel you developed as an actor from the first film to now this? And also for Alan, I was surprised to find that this is actually one of the more shorter Marvel films of the Marvel films. So what was the editing process like, and how much physically we expect to see deleted scene points?
Who goes first? Chris goes first.
I can't remember the question. I mean, every film I look back and go, oh, okay, now I get it. And then I start the next one and go, oh, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. And, it's nice to be able to approach a character again and for the third time attack it in a different way with a different director and have a whole new, bag of ideas and influences and ways to approach it. I think I grew up as a person as well, as you do through time, strangely enough, and as did, so Thor, that echoes into whatever you're doing in your work, and it was nice to have a more mature Thor who was sort of less petulant and arrogant and teenager, as the first one was at times, but that transition into him understanding the darker side of the throne and that responsibility and the sacrifices. It was fun to play with.
So editing process. There's so many obligations to a movie like this. As I said before, it has to be dark and emotionally engaging. It also has to be funny and constantly earn its sort of entertainment value. And part of that process is condensing and tightening and making it roll along as quickly as it can, so that it is as fun, ride as it can be. So naturally, some things fall out that you wish didn't fall out. Some things dear to my heart that I love. Chris Eccleston and I were talking about some things that we really savored that had to fall away. I'd be really grateful if some of those appear on DVD or Blu-ray at some point.
I think they will. I think there's about maybe 10, 12 minutes of footage on the Blu-ray.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's fantastic. There was some rumor going around. This is my first encounter with doing work while the internet watches. I had a little bit of that in Game of Thrones, but nothing prepared me for this. And there was a rumor about a running time argument at one point, and it was funny because I don't think anybody that I knew, my editors, I don't even know how long the movie was. There was never a running time issue. It was always, how can we make it better, funnier, more effective, how can it land harder? So in that process, some of my children had to get murdered and put on the floor. But, I'm sure they'll have an afterlife.
Metaphor.
Yeah. Kevin let them go home.
Okay, there's a gentleman in the second row just behind you. Just pass the mic back. Thank you.
Sorry, Kevin, for the t-shirt. I do come in peace.
Wow. Superman.
Yeah, maybe DC Marvel make friends. fantastic film, guys. Genuine fan of all your works, not to be a bit sucky. The film is fantastic. My question is, in terms of the tone, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is kind of matching the comics again, more fantastic, more out there. I wonder if the humour was a way of trying to ground some of that to make it palatable, and in the other sense, as the actors, the cast, as the world is getting more fantastical and things are getting more strange, what do you find to hook yourself as actors into grounding your performances and trying to stay true to your characters?
Humor is definitely the key. Yeah, we've got spaceships in this movie and other planets in this movie, and we have found that humor is an amazing way to get the audience to sort of just embrace and accept all of those worlds and all that craziness and all these costumes. It's worked well for us going back to the first Iron Man film.
And in terms of grounding your performances, let's start with Christopher and work our way down.
Grounded, how I ground my
And the working part now.
how I ground my performance out. They'll tell you. There's a sober. Well, it's interesting talking about the humour of the film. I saw it last week and was really surprised at the amount of humour because I'm such a miserable bastard. I was completely excluded from any of the job. My character was completely grounded in vengeance. He was like a maniac for revenge. The idea, I think, with Alan and Kevin was to suggest that the Dark Elves were as ancient a race as the Asgardians and had a history, which is why we gave them a language, and had a culture, but most of all they had a grudge, which they had slept on for millions of years. What's interesting about the film is it does have a variety of tones, and myself and Anna Worley, who unfortunately is not here, who played Algrim and Curse, our job was to bring the threat and the menace and the jeopardy, so we grounded in bitterness. You said earlier that you had to get up at 3 a.m. to put your costume on, and you were so bitter and angry by the time that was over.
My makeup call was about 3 o'clock. I was in the chair about 4 o'clock, 10 o'clock I hit the set, so I was not a happy elf.
Yeah, the humor, I think also the fact that the characters are going through, even though they're traveling between realms or going through things that we can all relate to, you know. For myself, playing a woman who the guy didn't call back and disappeared, and there's a long distance thing going on, and when it works out, she meets the parents, you know, those are all things that obviously most women can relate to, and of course I'm the mortal among the gods and villains, you know what I mean? So I guess that's naturally more grounded, but a lot of the issues they had us dealing with were human. I mean, even the brothers, I feel like that's so relatable as humans.
Yeah, I remember Hopkins said something to me. We first day on set on Thor 1, and we walked in and our outfits, and here's the eye patch and the whole thing, and the sets, and he looked at me and said, "I said, no acting required here." and I always remember that and think like, yeah, don't compete with it, you know, like keep it simple, and it already sells a lot of the work for you. So.
Yeah, I can't add much to what everyone else has already said. I suppose the thing that I always think is grounding about these films is the family relationships for me. We're traveling through space and time, we're dealing with gods and monsters, but the heart of the film, from my perspective, is a family, a father, 2 sons, 2 brothers, a mother, and the fractious, intimate interaction that they have.
Oh my God. Well, I think Darcy is maybe the most grounded person in the story. Even if she's kind of spacey in her brain, she's not in space. And I mean, I think Darcy's love for Jane and my love for Nat is pretty, easy way for me to stay grounded in the whole thing. I love you. Yeah, and I get to be the outsider to all the craziness and comment on it. I think like the audience would.
Okay, let's jump in here in the front row.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. A question for Kevin. Both Marvel and DC obviously have had successes at the cinema, but Marvel seems to have a very, very good strategy for Universe, not just on the big screen, but obviously TV as well. How coordinated is that, and how far ahead are you looking? I know there's talk about more TV series after S.H.I.E.L.D., more phases in the cinema. How is it one, effectively, sort of one package you're looking at, clockwork, as it were?
For the most part it is. We're a very tight-knit group at the studio, so all the movies are very, very coordinated. And we have them announced through the end of 2015, but are planning as far out as 2017. And sometime next year we'll announce what those films are for 16 and 17. The TV division is up and running now. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. obviously was their first series. I know they'd love to bring more things to the TV screen. I'm not sure exactly what or when that will be. And in terms of S.H.I.E.L.D., yes, they sort of cue off of what's happening in the movies and occasionally check in with us and go, would it be okay if we played this the last bit? So it is quite coordinated, but it's, again, such a small group, it doesn't feel like an overwhelming task. It's just a heck of a lot of fun.
I was jumping in the third row with a grey sweatshirt. Just as I come back.
There's a question for Natalie. I believe your mum keeps a scrapbook of photos that she allows out on set for such eventualities, and all these shots in the flat scene are you through the ages. Do you wish that scrapbook would go away? Or as someone who can look at themselves on DVD age 10, are you sort of not worried about your old image?
Yeah, I guess the funny thing is that it is, I think, the same set of photos that she always lends out for every movie I've done for the past 20 years. So there's a lot of characters that shouldn't have the same experiences and family photos, but do. Hopefully they're more background and people aren't really focusing on them. But yeah, all sorts of different people have been like photoshopped into them. There's some interesting ones of like me and Tobey Maguire when I'm young, and, but not real, of course. But, various different people I've worked with.
Thank you. The fifth row, please, with the glasses.
Chris did actually touch on this a little bit earlier, but I'm interested because, people say conflict is drama, and Malekith is the antagonist here, but we keep talking still about the brothers and the romantic dynamic. What's really the dynamic with Malekith, and what's it mean? What's the point of that storyline here, do you all think?
This Chris or that Chris?
You, Chris.
Oh. What is the point of my storyline? That's what I said to my agent. I said to Kevin. The point of my storyline is for me to get paid. The point of my storyline, I'm repeating myself slightly, it's vengeance. He is a maniac for vengeance. There were some scenes which, for understandable reasons, didn't make the final cut, which explain a bit of a backstory between me, my ancestors, and Bor, who is Odin's father. But basically the Dark Elves, before the Big Bang, centuries and centuries ago, were humiliated in defeat and ground into the dirt by Odin. And Malekith has slept on that. And the theme of that element is vengeance, really, and as we know, as somebody said, let he who seeks vengeance be careful to dig 2 graves, because it's a pointless exercise. That's it. My job was to bring a dark element, the dark world. The dark elves are seeking to turn light into darkness. It's really that simple. And that classic, if you like.
And we needed that in a movie where our villain from Avengers, we wanted to play in a slightly more ambiguous way. In order to do that, we needed somebody who could drive the entire storyline and give Thor a reason to have something to fight against.
We're all jumping in on this one. Malekith is a purist, he's a fundamentalist, he's a zealot. One of the major themes in the movie for me is something that most of our characters have to confront in one way or another, and it was a theme that was expressed very clearly by Malekith in the scene that you will find under Blu-ray, where he's confronting Odin and he says, you have to ask yourself, as I once did, what are you willing to sacrifice for what you believe? And every character goes to a turning point like that in the movie, and Malekith is the kind of guy who would sacrifice anything for principle, and we see him do it. And Thor learns a difficult version of that and decides to go a different way.
Okay, time for a very last question with lady in the front row. Thank you.
I was wondering for Tom and Chris, Malekith is the main enemy in this, so Loki, although he's seen as the enemy, he's not the main antagonist. I was wondering, deep down, do you think Loki is really evil, or is it just a jealous facade on the outside?
It's a question that I've asked myself 3 times, I think every villain is a hero in his own mind, and people make choices, and they always justify those choices, no matter how misguided their motivation. And the great privilege and thrill for me to play this character across 3 films is that he didn't start out that way, and the storyline, the narrative that was afforded to me in the very first film, this idea of a young prince who was brought up believing in his right to a throne, his inheritance of his Asgardian inheritance, that this whole story was a lie, that he was adopted and left to die on a frozen rock, and that essentially is what breaks his heart, and all of his villainy, all of his bad guy credentials come from something deeply vulnerable, and that's a gift, because it means across Thor, across Avengers, across the Dark World, that I can play a dynamic with Chris and with Anthony Hopkins and Rene Russo, which is, to what extent is he redeemable? Can he be pulled back towards the light? It's a very, very fun fault line to dance on.
Yeah, what Tom said. That's exactly it. Well done.